leading up to today's trade deadline, there had been some speculation that maybe the Browns would be buying. And I can tell you, they technically bought. They technically were buyers. They bought themselves a 6th-round pick. They traded Joe Tryon-Shoyinka and a 7th-rounder in 2026 from the Eagles to the Bears to get a 2026 6th-round pick. We know they've been stockpiling picks. I actually liked the Joe Tryon-Shoyinka signing in the offseason to sort of add some depth and bolster that defensive line group, but we know they have a surplus of talent at those positions already, and so it makes sense to sort of shed somebody. They do that with him, and they increase their pick value to a degree. So technically they bought. I don't know that it was buying though in the way that fans wanted. There was dreams, I know, of acquiring Garrett Wilson, which honestly after today's events felt maybe more possible, given that the Jets basically fully embraced tank mode to the point where they went from 2-point favorites at home this weekend against the Browns to now 2-point underdogs at home against the Browns. They traded Sauce Gardner. They traded Quentin Williams. They have transformed their defense in the wrong direction overnight and leaned into tanking and have now 2 firsts next year, 2 seconds next year, and 3 firsts in 2027. So there's that part of this where I know fans are looking and saying, well, why didn't the Browns do that? If they weren't doing that in the offseason, they certainly weren't going to do it now. You know, I had thought maybe an ancillary type move for a receiver like a Rashid Shaheed, who did get traded to the Seahawks, by the way, for a 5th and a 4th, was something that could be on the radar. I just never envisioned that the Browns are going to use any of those day 1 or day 2 picks that they've acquired at this point to go take some big swing at the trade deadline. I just didn't see it that way. I thought it would be more in the margins, some moderate deals that could be made to try to bolster the roster. As it turned out, they largely stood pat. I know that people are going to be frustrated with that. There's still a number of guys on this roster that are in the last year of their deal that you haven't necessarily maximized. Maybe some of those guys are coming back. We know there's been talk about trying to re-sign David Njoku. Granted, he's going to be entering his age 30 season, and that might not be the smartest move. But we'll see how all that stuff plans out as the deadline expires. Those guys are all still here. We'll see what it means for their future plans. They added another draft pick, and we know that the Browns are prioritizing trying to continue building this roster in the right direction through the draft, through next offseason. What that looks like, obviously to be determined, but not a lot of fanfare and fireworks for the Cleveland Browns here on Tuesday's trade deadline, which we'll talk about coming up on Wednesday's episode of the Drop in the Morning of the Locked On Browns podcast.